Hello, good day to one and all. This is Miss A. Krishna Sundar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KAHM Unity Women's College, Manjeri. Today, we are going to discuss tenses, direct and indirect speech, active and passive voice from the first semester text, functional grammar and communication in English prescribed by Calicut University. So let's start with tenses. Now, tenses had always been quite a scary kind of thing for all students. So, this video lecture will actually tell you what tenses are in a capsule form. Now, tense means it is a form of verb which shows the time at which the action happened. So, what exactly is the meaning of the term tenses? Now, tenses means it is a form of verb just to indicate the time at which it happened. So, tense is always connected with the time of action. Now, traditional grammar has recognized three types of tenses. This includes past, present, and future. But present day grammar says functionally there are only two tenses, that is past and present. Future is not included as per the study of the modern grammarians. So traditional grammar recognized past, present, and future, while modern day, present day grammar recognizes only past and present. There is no future. So there are three types of time indications here: past, present, and future. Now these tenses can be classified into four different aspects. Now the first one is simple, then comes continuous. Now continuous can also be called as progressive. Then comes perfect, perfect tense. Then comes perfect continuous tense. It can also be called as perfect progressive tense. So now we have got three time indications: past, present, and future, and we have got four different aspects to combine it. So here we are going to combine three tenses into four different aspects. So 3 into 4, you will get 12 tense forms. So in English, in total, you will have 12 tense forms. Now this table will give you a quick indication towards the different tense forms. So on the left hand side, you can see we have present, past, and future, the three time indications. And on the top side, you can see there is a simple form, then comes the progressive or continuous form, then comes the perfect form, and finally perfect progressive. It can also be called as perfect continuous. Now we are going to combine this. Okay, the first one, simple present, present progressive, present perfect, and present perfect progressive. Now with past, we have simple past, past progressive, past perfect, past perfect progressive. Now with future, we have simple future, future progressive or future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect progressive. So altogether we have got 12 tense forms. If you want to get a complete idea, you can pause the video and look at the examples given, because it is the same sentence which has been written in 12 different forms, so that you get a very clear understanding on the 12 tense forms. But all said and done, all these 12 tense forms are not used in our regular speech. Technically and linguistically, all the 12 tense forms can be used, but in our everyday speech, we will not be using all these tense forms on a regular basis. Now, just look at the last example, the very last example that is given in the green box. He will have been driving a car. Now, what tense is this? He will have been. So, you can say it is future tense and it is future perfect progressive tense. He will have been driving a car. But just see how many of us are using these kind of sentences in our everyday life. We do not require situations where we have to use these kind of complicated sentences with perfect progressive tense, and that too in future. So although we have 12 different tense forms, all the 12 different tense forms are not explained in your textbook. Only 7 tense forms are explained in detail in your textbook. So we need to learn only about those 7 tense forms which are used on a regular basis in our everyday conversation. So let's move on to the first one. The first one is simple present. Now always remember the 4 different aspects of present. The 4 different aspects of present are always used in our everyday speech. Now, the 4 different aspects means it might include simple present, present progressive, present perfect, and present perfect progressive. So, in connection with present, all the 4 aspects are used in our daily conversation. So, we start with the first one, simple present. Now, there is a small table given here, the same table which we had discussed in the previous slide, and I have marked it using the black dot. So, this is the first tense we are going to study, simple present. Now, the example is he drives a car. So this is something which is happening now. Now, simple present is usually used to express things in general. I usually go home on Sundays. It is also used to indicate habitual action. She gets up at 5 o'clock every day. So that is a regular kind of routine, something that happens every day, something like a habit. Again, simple present is also used to denote a universal truth. The earth is a planet. Again, to express promises, apologies, etc. For example, I promise. A sentence that begins with I promise, I apologize. So all these sentences will come under the category of simple present. Moving on to the second one, present progressive or present continuous. So, as the title suggests, the action is progressing or the action is continuing at the time when we are speaking. He is driving a car, which means right now he is driving a car. So, continuous tense is coming and therefore ing form is used. So, action that is happening at the time of speaking. More than that, when we talk about a change that is happening, we again use this present progressive tense. Now, look at the example. The population of the world is increasing very fast. So, we are talking about a change that is gradually happening, and present progressive tense is used here. Now, moving on to the next one, present perfect tense. You can see we have come to the third part because we have to study all the 4 different aspects of present tense. So the third one is present perfect tense. Always remember, whenever perfect tense comes, either has or have will be put to use. He has driven a car. So have or has plus past participle. Now, usually, a new information is passed using this tense. Lena has cut her finger. Again, there is always a connection with now. Mia has lost her key, which means she doesn't have it now. So, perfect tense has or have plus past participle. Moving on to the last phase in present tense, present perfect progressive. So you can look at the black dots here. We have come to the fourth aspect of present tense. He has been driving a car. So have been or has been. Now been comes here because it is progressive state. It is continuing. It has been raining for 3 hours. He has been watching TV all day. So we have completed all the four different aspects of present tense. Now we are moving with past tense. So the first one is simple past. So you can see we have reached this phase, the black dotted one. Simple past, he drove a car, an action which started and completed in the past. The police stopped me on my way home last night. So that's a completed action, so it is called as simple past. Now, the next one actually is past progressive, but past progressive is not given in your text because it is not used much in our daily conversation. So now we are moving on to past perfect. Okay, he had driven a car, a completed activity in the past to emphasize an action completed before another action took place. So the action is emphasized here. He had gone home. So this is past perfect tense. Now the next one actually is past perfect continuous tense. But past perfect continuous tense is not explained in your textbook. So now we are moving on to the next part, that is to the future part. Simple future tense. Okay, so we have reached this part. If you look at the table, you can understand it clearly. So we have come to the first part of future tense. He will drive a car. Now, this tense is usually used to make predictions and guesses. It will rain tomorrow. I will buy a house. Again, questions about future. Will you go home tomorrow? Again, to give commands. You will write your exam next Monday. Now, if you look at this table, you can see we are talking about simple future tense, the one which I have given dots in black color. So we are talking about simple future. Now we have future progressive, which is not mentioned in the text. We have perfect future, which is again not mentioned. Again, future perfect progressive, which is also not indicated in your textbook. So, in short, there are only 7 tense forms which we are using on a regular basis. Now, the remaining 5 tense forms, okay, there are 12 tense forms in total. We have discussed 7 tense forms because the remaining 5 tense forms like past progressive, past perfect progressive, future progressive, future perfect tense, and future perfect progressive. So these tenses are not much in use and therefore it has been omitted from your text. So if you look at these examples where I've given the black dots, you can understand these are the 5 tenses which are not discussed in detail from your textbook. So now we are moving on to the next part, that is direct and indirect speech. Direct and indirect speech, as the title indicates, we can clearly understand that direct speech is something which happens directly between the speaker and the listener. Indirect speech is actually something that is reproduced later. If you are reproducing the conversation that happened in your classroom today, if you are reproducing that conversation to your mother when you come back home, that is indirect speech. Because indirect speech means you are actually reporting the words or reproducing words. Now let's look at this example. Now Leslie says, Mother, what are you doing? So you can see the inverted comma here. After mother, there is a comma. What are you doing? Then comes a question mark. Now the mother replies, I am preparing your favorite dish. Now this is a direct conversation because this happens directly between Leslie and his mother. Now how can this be converted into an indirect speech? Now look at the next example. Leslie asked his mother what she was doing. Mother told him that She was preparing his favorite dish. Now, this is a third person reporting what happened between Leslie and his mother. And this is known as indirect speech or reported speech. Now, things that you have to remember when you are reporting a speech, you have to remove the comma and inverted comma. Now, the best example is what we discussed right now, because after Leslie, it's written in inverted comma. After mother, there is a comma. So you have to remove all these comma and inverted comma. And the connector word that, it should be used. The mother told him that. Okay, so the connecting word, the connecting link is used. The third thing is that you have to change the tense sometimes. Like, what are you doing? Which is actually coming in the present tense. But when you're reporting it, he asked his mother what she was doing. It comes in the past tense. Now, here is a small table which can help you out to understand how words can be used in reported speech. Now becomes then, today becomes that day, here becomes there, this, that, tomorrow becomes the following day, next week will become the following week, yesterday, previous day, last week, previous week, and the table goes on. So you can have a look at these examples. Now, some of the main points to remember: if the original speech verb is in the past tense, reported speech verb will also be in the past tense. Okay, so the original has to be kept in the same way. The next thing is a universal truth. If it is a universal truth, the verb will remain unchanged. Now, Mary said Earth is a planet. Mary said that Earth is a planet because Earth is still a planet. So, that is a universal truth. Now, there are certain other words like inquired, commanded, ordered, suggested, etc. Now, these words are used according to the situation or to describe the mood of the speaker. Now, look at the sentence: don't swim too far. The instructor said. Now, since he is the instructor, you can reproduce the words in such a way like the instructor ordered not to swim too far. Okay, so the term ordered or maybe commanded can be used here because it is the instructor talking to the students. Now we move on to the next one: active and passive voice. Now let's start with the example of a sentence. Moscow's Gamaleya Institute developed Sputnik vaccine. Now, Sputnik vaccine was developed by Moscow's Gamaleya Institute. So it has been put in the reverse way. Now, active voice will always emphasize the person or the agent who performs the action. The importance is given to the person or the agent in active voice. But when it comes to passive voice, emphasizing will be given to the recipient of the action or sometimes the action itself. Now, some points to be noted: subject in active voice will become object in passive voice. Now, the form of the verb will change. By is used before the object. Sometimes it is omitted when it is not necessary. Now, look at these examples. Meera wrote this book. This book was written by Meera. The dog chased the ball. The ball was chased by the dog. So the verb pattern changes. Chased will become was chased. Someone stole my car. My car was stolen. That is correct. My car was stolen by someone. That is also correct because since the name or nothing substantial is being described here, so whether you write by someone or not, it doesn't really matter, so it's sometimes omitted. Again, turning the questions with active and passive voice: who wrote the letter? It becomes by whom was this letter written? That is how you turn it into a passive voice. Then comes for commands: do the works. Do the work. It can be changed into let the work be done. Let the work be done. Now, again, according to the mood, you can bring some transitions. For example, please come here. So, if you're converting into passive voice, you can use the term requested. You are requested to come here, just like what we did with the instructor's order in the previous session with reported speech. Then comes using at. Look at the sentence. His condition alarmed me. Now you're going to change it into passive voice. You will have to use at. I was alarmed at his condition. So that is an extra word that you will be adding here. So sometimes these elements, addition of these elements too can happen. Now with active and passive voice, sometimes some sentences do not require a change. For example, look at this sentence. The house was built in 1990. How can you transform the sentence into passive voice? It is not possible. Again, see, your car was damaged. So it's again not really possible to convert it into a passive voice structure. The jug holds 3 liters. Now, maybe you can actually convert it as 3 liters are held by the jug. Again, we came across some old letters. Some old letters were come across. But again, technically it could be right, but certain sentences will not have a passive structure to which it could be converted to. So, with this, we come to the end of the session. The question answers and the exercises at the back of the text will be updated in the description box soon. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you so much. In case if you have got any questions or any queries, please do not hesitate to connect with me. Thank you once again. Thank you.